Hello, my coloring friends. I have missed you guys. It has been like the longest break I have had from coloring with everyone in the year that my yearversary, colorversary was last Friday the 15th. So it has been very strange, and I'm glad to be back. I am sorry for the delay. I was ill. It ends up that it was most likely allergies because I never got my normal, if I get a cold sickness, which is ear infection, sore throat, and a fever. All it was congestion. And I finally, yesterday, took a Zyrtec, and it worked really well. So this morning I took a Zyrtec again, and my coughing has completely stopped. So I am able to film today. I didn't think I was going to be able to, so I am so glad to be back. Before we dig into the today's coloring, which I did post an image because I didn't know how quickly I was going to be able to get prepared for this. It is a 16 set mini scene page with 16 little scenes, and I have prepared I think 5 sets of pencils, and I thought that would be plenty for my first time back. And I will just stop when I finish. I'm not sure how long that will be, but I am going to do a quick summary for you of what I did do coloring wise while on my vacation. It was a whirlwind. It was actually a conference at a convention center with thousands of people. So that is how it is that, and there was really bad pollen there in North Carolina. So I am glad that all I got was what I got, and I'm already over it. Okay, so the main big project that I did finish that I've been working on, I don't know, I've showed this to you guys here and there 3 or 4 times, is this particular 4-up with the black background doing the Languo gel pens. That was all that was left, was the gel pen work, and I brought the gel pens with me. I did bring over here, you can see that these colors aren't quite the right colors, though they seem to be the correct colors over here. So I apologize for that. I still enjoyed the process, which this whole book is more so the process than perfection. And of the 4, I don't know which one you guys prefer of the 4, but I think I like the Derwent drawing one. Just the look of it is just very aesthetically pleasing to me, though I do like them all. So that was like, these are like tiny masterpieces that took absolutely forever and a day. I did do minor cleanup to these circles. My mom is not fond of how this looks. If I were to share with my husband, he would be the same way. They are completionists. She bugged me to color black on this one. I said, no, I want that to be a baseline without black at all. And then as I was going through and I did the coloring with you guys, I only completed half with you. And then I decided that I would leave it half so that we could see the black and white all mixed in. And I think it has a nice aesthetic appeal to it. Not perfect, but you know what? Some people would love it more than having the whole thing colored. And then the last one that I worked on was jumping ahead now, past where we're at. I then started this, and this is as far as I've gotten. I need to, I think this is 2 images from what we're working on now, starting today. So I need to focus on the shapes. They are going to all be black. You can see I haven't taken and done I have a 0.3 and a 0.5 black pit pen that I go around the close-up edges. All I've done is the super brush nib. Over here I have some hatches. This probably has little dots or something. I have little circles here and the little butterfly dashed lines. I will make sure to refer to my original, or my virgin copy, uncolored in book. And that is why I keep 2 copies of books, one I'm coloring in and one that is clean, so that I can make reference to, and not have to worry. I haven't even made a copy of this page yet because I'm not going to get to it for a couple of days. So that is what I worked on while I was gone. And then today we are going to dive into this fine, very detailed page. This is the last set of scenes. There are 16 of them. I have already got my round 8 document. Let's see, you can't quite see the whole thing, can you? So there's round 8. I did do some liberty back here right before I left. We worked on these 2 pages, and both the top images here, all 3 top images, are using the Woomer, which were sent to me to evaluate and review. So I snuck in the Woomer here and skipped using the Metallic and the Macaron so that I could use the next 2 sets of pencils here, the Farben and the Castle Arts Gold, which were a very good matchup. Oh, and then the Maries I used here as a matchup. Very comparable to the Woomers. So the Metallic and the Macaron are going to start us off today with the jars 1 and the Snail. And then here's all 16 sets called out, and I think I have pulled, actually I've pulled through set 6. I think I haven't pulled the polys yet. So we're just going to crank through the first few so that I can kind of get my coloring sea legs back going. I hope you all managed to color while I was gone and had a great time. I very much enjoyed my card making with my card making pals. I am going to turn down, we have the afternoon sun, which means I want to turn down our brightness a bit. And then I also want to get closer. We like to be close, so that you can see all the details. Now, I did not plan for matchy-matchy on this page. Being still a little bit under the weather, I'm like, I don't want to overcomplicate it. So I just grabbed some colors. I kind of did the more spontaneous route of coloring. The images should go really quickly, I would think. And I'm grabbing the metallics now. I didn't limit my count of pencils. I didn't, because the images vary so much, I didn't tell myself every image only gets 7 pencils per se. The jars, I am going to be coloring the jar with sort of a glass color, but each one will be a little bit different. And then I think I'm going to come back in. I'm just going to get started here on the flower, the tulip facing up. Bright Violet B34. Again, this is the Brutfuner Metallic 72. And then Metallic Rose Red B60. And I will be coming back after I am done at some later date to add either Languo or some sort of white gel pen to these. It may even be when I'm all done, I'll feel like I should do this with you guys. Go through and do the jars as a separate step. I thought that would be kind of fun, so we'll probably do that. I did post one more coloring project that I did do. Here's the blue for the little turn down bellflowers, Lilac Flower Blue B70. I colored some stamped turtles. I used my friend Libby's colored pencil collection, which is quite, well, her coloring markers and pencils. She has Copic markers, so the third turtle was colored with the Copic markers, and then she owns Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils and very old pastel chalk pencils by Generals, and they worked great. So the bottom of this jar is grassy. I tried very hard for this vacation of mine that I actually planned this like 6 months ago. It's been a very long time coming, and I purposefully stayed away from technology for the most part, and We worked on some projects in her craft room, organizing some things. I love to organize, and so does she, so she has a lifetime supply of craft supplies. Some very organized and some not so much, so we worked on those that weren't very organized, and it was great fun. There's a cough. This is why I'm not wanting to go very long. Okay, Bluegrass B17, Light Yellow Green B63, I thought it would be fun to mix this limey green with the bluey green. I really love the feel of the mica in these metallic pencils. Very unique feeling. This is the glass color. So I'm just going to do a soft coat, and each one of the jars will be a little different because the sets I'm using are going to be different. All right, I have two brighter greens, Bayberry B21, Pure Green B65 for the leaves on the flowers. I did not grab anything for the tag or the rope, color-wise. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I could have grabbed a tan, I suppose. But I think that is good enough. And we're going to move on to number 2. Those were very nice. And I love the extra colors that I have in the 72. So next we are going to be using the Brutfuner Macaron, which is a 50 set. It's also a favorite. And we will see. Now my snail came out quite kind of yucky colored, but I'm okay with that. So let's just see how this looks. And that's on the copy paper where I did kind of a little mock-up. So I used, I believe it was cork, kind of a tan, and mustard. And the mustard is supposed to be along the bottom here. And we'll just see how ugly this comes out. I did give him a beautiful shell. Cork is just a tan. I think it's interesting that I think that this guy is wearing a crown. We have a yellow I grabbed for the centers. Oops, I need to be able to see. I can even zoom in. Look at that. This is how small these are. So my yellow. I'll do the crown with that yellow. One of my flowers I think would love to be light blue. They're so small I didn't even bother with, you know, bringing out sets for everything. Cute little pink flowers. So this is a pastel set, which means he will end up looking very pastel-y. A couple of greens. Opal green, 1271 and 1291 leaf green. The pink is supposed to be salmon, but it is Salomon 0719. I don't know if I showed you all the colors. River blue was the light blue, 0335. And I think I might have skipped the yellow, which is Goldfing 0341. And they'll all be in the description. Now, I'm going to leave this flower white because I have picked lavender, 2 of them, a bright one, azalea pink, 0344, and cyclamen 0425. And depending on how it comes out, I might decide I don't even need to color that flower. I am not the best at remembering to leave some flowers white. There are lots of white flowers in the world, so you can just decide whenever is appropriate to leave a flower white. These are a very buttery soft budget pencil. Very inexpensive. I got mine, my first set, I have 2. The first set that I got was an AliExpress experimental purchase, and it worked just fine. It took a while to get them. At the time I was traveling, and I only stayed a certain length of time in any one location, so I had to use the general delivery mail system. Most campgrounds will not let you have your mail delivered, and if they do, it's usually for a fee. So it was a bit of a gamble, and they did come on time before I had moved on. I believe, though, it was here in Florida when I bought them, and it meant that it wouldn't have been a place I could have driven. It just would have been long enough of a drive to be annoying. So I was glad when they made it on time. All right, so there is our cute little snail, and I am totally happy with that flower being white. What do you guys think? Let me know. The color it was going to be is this wonderful bright orange, Bright Marigold 0313. And I probably won't put that on the list since I didn't use it. All right, moving on to the third set. It is going to be the Castle Arts Harmonious, which I have really thoroughly enjoyed. They are definitely a limited palette, and I do not think I would want them as my only set of pencils. But they definitely would, if you have a set like a 72, in any 72 set that you really enjoy, adding the Harmonious would be a great supplement to the set. So I'm doing this a little different. This jar is teeny tiny. I don't really have any yellows in the Harmonious, so I am going to go ahead and take this Night Blue 44, and I'm going to give a background. Backdrop for these stars. This is a very buttery formula. It's very similar to the Soft Touch, if you've used those before. They do not feel very much like the golds. I'm seeing a little streaky, and I can see the tooth of the paper, so it'll be a little bit of work. Another layer. They feel, even though they're probably more of a wax-based, I have always found the Soft Touch behave more like a layering pencil than a smooshing type pencil. So I'm just getting some color down, and I can go back and clean it all up. Fill in the tooth, do a little burnishing, and that can happen after I get all of the coloring done. I can come back and do that. So this side, you can see I worked more on the tooth. Trying to do ovals. This, doing a background like this where you're fading away like an ombre effect, is a really good practice to fine-tune your ability to softly fade the color away. See, I've got a line here that I don't want. This is where you just have to keep adding more layers and try to keep your shape. I do ovals. I'm kind of doing long ovals. So I'm just going to leave the one side that I have worked more dark, and the right side I can work on my own time. Or I can work on it and decide that maybe there's more light on the right side than on the left side, and the left side is in shadow. All right, so that's the Night Blue. The flower is very simple. It's Plum 69. And then I'm thinking I used the, nope, this one. This one looks very beigey. It's called Spring Heather 008. But if you look at the tip, it actually is lavender. So the barrels are not quite perfect on these. It's small enough of a flower that I almost did not need to have a second color. But I just wanted to. So here is that heather. So you can see that the heather is definitely lavender, not this putty beige that the barrel shows. right. We have the color of the water. I told you each jar is going to be colored. My closest watercolor is Mosaic Blue 49. It's very soft. Okay. I do also have Mulberry Mist. Mulberry Mist and Stone Gray. So 15 Stone Gray is my kind of my dirt or sand color. I wanted to keep this very soft. And then this is the cork. I can even do a hint of this color because this is glass. And then green leaves are Bayberry 65. And I'm just using a lighter hand on the end and going really dark and heavy at the point where the petal comes out from the stem. It just was too small to worry about using two colors. And then I do have Mulberry Mist number 3 to give it sort of a lavendery color, even lighter than the Stone Gray. And then there we have our beautiful cold tone harmonious jar. I like that. And we're going to switch gears completely now to going with a very soft, easy to use Evazar 130. And I have picked bright colors because this is where it's like, well, I've already started with, you know, we've got metallic, we've got pastel, we've got harmonious. So those all sort of have a similar tone. But now we have Evazar, and I just couldn't bring myself to stick with that very light tone. So we're going bright. We've got a jar with a little seascape scene. And I've got, move those out of the way. I do not have my pencil sharpener here, which is interesting. I don't even know where I've hidden it. I had to pack everything away for Hub to have charge of the kitten for the week. So I think it's close by. This one is not a sharpened pencil, and they're a very fatty core. It is blood orange 020. The numbers of these pencils are perfect. They go from 1 to 130 in color family order. A very rare treat for me that I so much enjoy. It really makes pencils like these just bubble to the top of my favorites list when they do that. It does also help that these are fantastic pencils to use. I'm now using a lighter orange around the edge. And it is number 18, Pumpkin. I picked a gray for the rock, elephant, and I see that the print, the L on elephant, it's a little cut off. Elephant gray, the whole bottom is. 122. Not sharpened. It would be way easier if it was sharpened, but I'm not going to sharpen it. Okay, now we're going to do some bright fun color for our kelp lime green 81. I could have gone pretty crazy with extra colors, and I decided I'm going to keep these kelp just a single tone. It's not worth pulling out a second green. I picked a different area to do two-tone, and then I am also doing a fun treatment with the jar. So the jar has, I picked 3 tones. Let's see if I can share them all here. Turquoise 63, deep turquoise 64, and then blue emerald 67. So it's a nice triple tone. I thought that the jar itself was a big enough surface to do a light, medium, and dark blend. And before I start that, I am going to do a fun treatment of the little... these are probably kelp, I guess, but I am making them cherry pink 46 and amethyst 48. Because I can. It's a very cute jar. And now, to finish it all off, we are going to, oops, and I see that is probably a purple area. I could even see a little purple back here. There. Now we've got these 3 blue colors are all sharpened. I must have used them in a way that they needed to be sharp, which is perfect for what I need to do now. Okay, so that was the dark, which is blue emerald. Going to the middle color, that is deep turquoise. And then you see there's a little water line right here. So that's going to be the extent of the 2 darks. And then turquoise 63 is going to be the rest of the jar. Let's see if I can come in here. Darken it up in the shadows. All right, so that's totally different than the next door neighbor items, which were all done with softer tone sets. And then the last one that I am prepared to work on is Irojiten. I'm going to move on down. I asked my husband, I like to ask him fun questions. I said, horizontal or vertical? And he says, horizontal, of course. So that meant I travel horizontally. The last set that we did, which was just a few pages back, I went vertically, which is not the norm for me. So I was glad that he picked horizontal, but if he had said vertical, I was going to go ahead and roll with it. So we have this little mushroom, cute mushroom to do. The set of pencils is the Irojiten. They are a very hard pencil. And they work really good on copy paper. They are absolutely, if you want to use cheap paper and you need a good pencil to work on cheap paper, these are fantastic. So I've got the fun mushroom colors. There are 3 of them. The barrel ends aren't quite perfect. You will see here soon. So I'm going to go with the stem is cork, and the underside, the soft underside of the mushroom. And then I have chestnut brown D2. Oh, and LG2 is the code for cork. The naming convention on these is very complicated. And even you buy them by the book, library book. Dictionary, I guess, is a color dictionary is what it's themed after. And then sepia is EX9, and it shows that it is gray, but it is not. It is actually a deeper brown than the chestnut. So I am going to go ahead and start with cork, which is this nice putty color, a little bit on the warmer side. For being as hard a pencil as they are harder than my prangs and harder than the Starjoy Golds. Of the 3 sets, Starjoy Golds are the softest. Now I'm moving on to the chestnut to get some shading in a nice warm brown. The chestnut is my favorite brown color. There's 100 of these. You buy 90 in these dictionaries. They come 10 pencils per little booklet. So it's kind of all a really weird, complicated system, and then you get 10 individuals to make. So you have 30, 60, 90 sets A, B, and C, and 10 that they came up with after the fact, probably to like complete the color family. Those are the ones that start with the code EX. I ended up getting my first group of them, I think about it was one set of 30, and the 10. So I ended up with 40 to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and do the top of this also with the beige, the cork. So I would call these a more complicated pencil, a little bit more difficult to learn to use. You have to be a little more patient with them. And the numbering is complicated. It kind of reminds me of Black Widows are also very complicated. I would not recommend those for beginners. Another fantastic pencil, but a learning curve. So now I'm taking the sepia, and it's my shadow brown. But see how the three colors kind of all go together so nicely? Now I can go in with the chestnut, which is the warm tone. And we're getting blurry. Sorry, I hope that wasn't very long that it did that. I see that I need the sepia. I'm holding all three pencils in my right hand, pulling them as I need them. Kind of want to leave the bottom here light. That's kind of like a signature mushroom thing. So I'm using cork over the top of the chestnut. Heavy pressure now. If I used light pressure, I could absolutely slowly build this up, but I'm trying to not have to take forever. So I just add more pressure and see how that fills in so nicely. And they are done. Our next colors, I picked some bright colors from here on out. I've got, for the greens, I have two. Chartreuse green, V4. I think V is vivid. And then cactus green, D17, which I think is for dull, but I would call it dark, darker dull. And I'm going to use that for the dark ends, teeny tiny leaves. I just couldn't leave them with one color. There are some really fantastic greens in this set. And I do think that these go quite well on the smooth. You know, they go good on copy paper, but they also go really well on the Basford paper. I'm not liking them on my Nina Bristol Vellum copy paper that I put through my printer to do pages when I print my own. These pencils don't do well. And there's not a lot of pencils that do poorly on the Nina Bristol Vellum. So that's another thing that makes these a bit more challenging to work with. Lovely greens, all done. We've got flowers. I'm going to do blue for the tulips. Very, very simple. We are almost done here. Okay, we've got yellow. The yellow is Dandelion V3, V is in vibrant, and Aqua P7, P is for pastel. I hope I remember what all of these codes are. I am remembering them. Next we have two flower colors. A Anemone Pink EX6, EX meaning that's one of the set of 10 singles you can buy. And then Orchid Pink is P1 Pastel 1. So I am going to take Anemone Pink. So again, the 10 were used with a set of 30, and this Anemone Pink is actually quite short. You can't even tell, but if you compare it to the length of the light pink, it is quite a bit more used. Hub is joining us, so I might pause a second, but I'm so close to done. Let me pause. All right. Hub had to come out like 1 minute before I'm done. So I just finished sharing the Anemone Pink. It's the darker pink, and that it is probably the shortest of my set of these. And it doesn't seem to be broken or anything. I don't think these are known to have issues that way. And we are at our 45 minutes. I wondered if 5 would be enough. I'm hoping tomorrow to speed things up for the next episode. I am 1 day behind. I did have one spare day to still get my 4 days in per my schedule, so I am officially behind on my schedule of finishing this book around April 5th. But as I said, I am not going to stress about it. So thank you so much for joining me. I am so glad to be back and with you all. Do all of the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing. And I hope to see you all at the next one, where we will be continuing on. We've got the butterfly, hot air balloon, and another jar. And this is what we did today. We did the top 4, and as you can see, they are not necessarily matchy-matchy, because I was not concerned about that. And I hope to see you all there. Take care.